Ramin Satuda said he interviewed Trump on multiple occasions, some in person, and that even though they spoke at length about his old TV show, Trump had trouble remembering who he was. Trump, of course, denied that vehemently. His spokesperson called the writer a nobody and a loser, which I guess is why he took time to do interviews with him, one with the nobody, one with the loser.
Have you ever thought about what happens when a former president doesn't realize he's no longer in office or believes that deceased celebrities are casting votes for him? Kimmel is ready to take us on a funny ride through Trump's latest blunders, and trust me, it's a wild one. Get ready, because we're diving into the strange realm of Trump's imaginary fan club. He keeps claiming he has more support from African Americans than Beyoncé does at her concerts. But let's be honest, the only thing deeper than Trump's supposed support is the emptiness where his empathy should be.
I have done more for the African American community than any president, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln.
African Americans for Trump, call it whatever the hell you want.
And you see black people walking around with my mugshot.
I love the black community, and I've done more for the black community than any other president.
Do you recall when Trump confidently said that black people are on his side because they relate to what he's going through? He seems to think their struggles mirror his own. It's quite the statement.
The black people are so much on my side now because they see what's happening to me happens to them.
Exactly. There's nothing quite like a billionaire claiming to understand the struggles of others by comparing his experience to centuries of systemic oppression. It's as if he's saying, I stubbed my toe once, so I completely understand what it's like to run a marathon. It's just not the same.
Because as we all know, Trump has done more for black Americans than almost anyone.
There's nobody that has done more for the black community than President Trump.
But hold on, it gets even more amusing. At one of his rallies, Trump spotted a black supporter and shouted, "Look at my African-American friend over here."
People really like Trump.
Look at my African American over here.
I've done more for the black community than any president since Abraham Lincoln. I say it, nobody can dispute it.
Thank you, Harriet Schlubman, for those thoughts on this holiday.
Nothing screams, "I'm not racist," quite like treating people like Pokemon. It's all about catching them all. But don't worry, Trump isn't bothered by pesky little things like facts or reality. With the memory of a goldfish that's forgotten everything, he actually has an advantage. He can't recall what he said just 5 minutes ago, so every time he speaks, it's like embarking on a brand new adventure.
Also seemed to think that he still had some foreign policy powers. And there was one day where he told me he needed to go upstairs to deal with Afghanistan, even though he clearly didn't.
Trump, of course, denied that vehemently. His spokesperson called the writer a nobody and a loser, which I guess is why he took time to do interviews with him, one with the nobody, one with the loser.
While you were interviewing him at Trump Tower, he told you he needed to go upstairs to deal with Afghanistan?
With the, quote, the Afghanistan is how he referred to it.
Right. Not a Afghanistan, the Afghanistan.
Speaking of memory problems, our dear leader seems to struggle with keeping his story straight. He often forgets past interviews faster than he remembers his wife's birthdays. And don't get me started on how he repeats the same stories over and over. It's like Groundhog Day, but instead of Bill Murray, we're stuck with a guy who thinks windmills cause cancer. A new book is revealing some juicy details about Trump's cognitive decline, and trust me, it's more mouth-watering than a ripe peach from Georgia. The author, who we won't name right now, we know how Trump loves to give people funny nicknames, drops some serious bombshells. Apparently, our dear leader can't even recall past conversations, as if his brain is constantly playing a game of 52-card pickup with facts. Imagine Trump sitting in an interview, looking as confused as a dog trying to figure out a magic trick. When the interviewer brings up something they discussed earlier, Trump's face goes blanker than his grasp of foreign policy. The poor interviewer has to start from square one.
And when I sat down, there was a very blank expression on his face. So I asked, do you remember when we spoke recently? And he said, no, I have no memory of that. And he couldn't recall. He said it was a long time ago.
Ramin Satuda said he interviewed Trump on multiple occasions, some in person, and that even though they spoke at length about his old TV show, Trump had trouble remembering who he was.
From square one, where he started telling me the same exact stories that I heard in our first interview.
I don't know about that. It's not like him to repeat himself. It really doesn't.
They're probably wishing they could erase the entire Trump presidency. But hold on, it gets even crazier. Do you remember when Trump suggested injecting bleach to cure COVID? Or that time he used a Sharpie on a weather map because he couldn't admit he was wrong about hurricane? It's hard to keep track of all the wild moments.
It's very scary to think that the guy who was telling us to inject bleach into our veins is just now deteriorating mentally. That would mean that when he was drawing in Sharpie on the weather maps, he was fine.
Is this the behavior of a presidential candidate or someone who'd be better off in a Saturday Night Live sketch? I'll let you decide, but I'm betting on the latter. Now hold on to your MAGA hats because this next part is a real whopper. Trump claimed that Joan Rivers voted for him in 2014. Yes, folks, the same Joan Rivers who sadly passed away in, you guessed it, 2014. Either Trump has a direct line to the afterlife, or his grip on reality is as loose as his tie on a windy day.
He told me and declared that Joan Rivers voted for him when he ran for president, and Joan Rivers died in 2014, so she would not have been able to vote for Donald Trump.
He also made a claim that indicates the lying and the dementia might be starting to team.
Can you picture Trump at the pearly gates, saying, "Joan Rivers told me she voted for me"? He'd probably add, "A lot of people are saying it. Heaven's best people." It's a wild thought.
So he's right. Dead people are voting. Maybe she voted with her Ouija board. I don't know.
And there's Street Peter, just standing there, probably wondering if there's a cosmic return to sender stamp big enough for this situation. But hey, maybe we're being a bit hard on him. After all, keeping track of who's alive or dead can be tricky when you're busy remembering which lies you told of whom. It's like playing chess, but all the pieces are shaped like Trump's head and move however he feels like at the moment. So, what's the best gift Trump could give this June? How about a big slice of silence pie? Maybe wash it down with a tall glass of "I acknowledge historical facts." But let's be real, that's about as likely as Trump admitting he lost the election. Folks, we need to stay sharp when it comes to all this political hot air.
Which is, should white people get the day off for Juneteenth? We should have to work, right? I mean, Juneteenth commemorates the end of slavery in America. President Biden made it a federal holiday in 2021, which means a lot of people had the day off from work.
Absolutely, it's entertaining to laugh at Trump's antics. But let's not overlook the significance of June. It's not just another day off. It serves as a reminder of how far we've come and how much further we need to go. On the bright side, Trump is providing us with a treasure trove of unintentional comedy gold this month. Who needs fireworks when you have his tweets, right? America is at a unique crossroads that we've never seen in our lifetime. Do we defend our democracy, constitution, and republic, or do we hand them over to fascist rule under a mega dictator like Trump? Let's spread our message to keep democracy alive by liking and sharing this video and subscribing to the channel. Together, we will fight for democracy.